body
Impact shakes
begins to
governments,
dissolve.
tech
Not like
giants,
she's
and
dying,
scientific
but like
institutions.
she's shedding the last
Emergency
layer of what she
protocols
once
activate
was.
worldwide.
Bright streams of
But
data
for Norman,
spiral out
the
from her
meaning
skin,
is clear.
weaving through
He
the air
recognizes
like
the pattern
glowing
embedded
threads
in the
searching
message,
for a
the
new
same
home.
harmonic imprint
Professor
Lucy
Norman
left in
takes
the
a
flash
step
drive.
forward,
He
stunned.
whispers,
He
stunned,
murmurs,
"Lucy,
she's
what have you
rewriting
become?"
existence.
Within
The
minutes of
energy
the mysterious
expands.
broadcast,
Every soldier
security
lowers their
councils
weapon,
scramble to determine
overwhelmed
if the
not by
event is a
force,
coordinated
but by the
cyber
sudden
attack.
calm
The
washing over
global
them.
signal
The
carried
room
no
feels
IP origin,
weightless,
no
as if
digital
space
fingerprint,
itself is
and
taking
no
a breath.
traceable source.
At the center of
It
the light,
behaved like a
Lucy's
natural
human form
phenomenon rather than
disappears
computer
completely.
code.
A voice
Professor
surrounds
Norman is
everyone
taken
at
into
once,
custody for
echoing
questioning,
across
as
the
his
metal,
past connection
the
to
air,
Lucy makes
even
him
their
the only
thoughts.
person capable
I am
of
not
interpreting
leaving.
what
I'm
happened.
evolving.
Inside
The
a heavily
explosion
monitored
of light
room,
collapses
analysts
into a
show him the
tiny,
captured
black,
waveform from the blackout.
perfectly smooth
Norman's
cube
hands
resting on the
tremble
floor,
as he studies
pulsing
it.
softly.
It resembles a
A
biological
final
neural
gift,
pattern,
filled
not a
with
digital one.
knowledge no
Suddenly,
human has
the
ever
room's
touched.
monitors flicker,
Outside the
and the
facility,
overhead
the
speakers
clouds
crackle.
part.
A
A thin
familiar
blue
voice,
streak shoots
calm
across
yet
the sky,
resonant, emerges.
vanishing into the
Norman,
horizon.
focus.
Then Lucy's
Time
voice
is
returns
limited.
one last
The
time,
room falls
gentle
silent.
and infinite.
It's Lucy.
When you're
Her
ready,
voice seems
I'll
woven
answer.
into the building's
Fade to
electronics.
black.
She continues.